Okay, we've got a quick one today, and we're back in our series. Was the book of Jude written after 70 AD? This is episode 24, Peter, James, Jude, and the real Jesus dynasty. So I have a presupposition here. It's a pretty fair one. I think everyone agree with, or most people, is that both James and Jude, the brothers or half-brothers of Jesus, were the actual authors of the epistles that are bearing their names. I know that some people think they're pseudepigraphal or whatever, but I don't go for that. I believe that these are the brothers of Jesus that wrote these epistles. And if you've made it this far in the series in Jude, you'll know that the position taken here is that Jude became the head of the second generation of the church after Jesus' second coming occurred in 70 AD, because the original apostles were either already dead or they were raptured in 70 AD. Number two, Jude is the only New Testament letter that was written after 70 AD. Therefore, it has such significance for us living in the time that we are now. And Second Peter was clearly the source document for Jude's epistle. He was clearly taking what Second Peter had said. He had found the letter and built upon it, and said that Second Peter, the prediction that was made there, was coming true as the false teachers were coming into the church. So we have a new consideration today, and that is that First Peter was the source document for James's epistle, and we're going to examine that theory in today's video real quickly. And if this is true, that means that each of Peter's letters, First Peter and Second Peter, were the inspiration for the epistles that were written by both of Jesus's brothers, James and Jude. Peter, this means, plays a key part as kind of an intermediary in the establishment of a first century Jesus dynasty, if you want to call that a dynasty, with Jesus and his brothers on earth. There are parallels, strong parallels between First Peter and James. Just so you know, I'm not making this up here. In Donald Guthrie's New Testament introduction, he counts about 9 or so parallels. I did a deeper look into this. I think there's about 20 parallels. Clearly, there's parallels between these books. So the question is, who wrote first? If I want to prove this theory here that First Peter was the source document for James, well, as preterist as most of us here, I think, are watching this video, time statements are key, and the time statements regarding Jesus's second coming in the Epistle of James point to the imminency of the second coming. You can see this in James 5, 8, and 9. He says, the coming of the Lord is at hand. And then he says, behold, the judge is standing at the door. Now, First Peter does talk about the second coming, but there's no imminency made about it. So I think it's pretty clear that Jude is writing after Second Peter. And this is just a side note here. The Epistle of James, a great letter, not only for the moral instructions for us as Christians, but also to shine the light on the time statements regarding Jesus' second coming. It's just, I would say, underutilized. I mean, clearly, you've got the gospel accounts where Jesus said he was coming in that generation and everything. But yeah, James is just a treasure of statements like that as well. Sometimes we just kind of underestimate that. So consider, back to our study here, both James and Jude use Peter's letters as the inspiration or the source for their epistles. Both James and Jude were heads of the church on the earth. James served as the head prior to the second coming, and Jude served as the head of the church after the second coming. This means there was a true Jesus dynasty with Jesus and his brothers in the first century. So question is, what does this mean for us today? Now, I really don't know. There's not like a strong conclusion, but it does trigger a whole bunch of questions in my mind and probably in yours. My question was, an unbroken chain of that dynasty on earth, meaning that the rumor is, or secular history will tell us, that James was killed either in 62 or 69. Josephus has one story. There are other historians who have other stories. I don't put a lot of stock in the non-Christian writings, and the Bible doesn't say anything about James's death. So maybe he did die then, maybe he didn't, maybe he was raptured. I don't know. But bottom line, what we have is the big picture: Jesus' death, burial, resurrection, and then at his ascension, we have James taking over leadership of the church. Certainly Peter was in there at Pentecost, but James is there taking over until Jesus' second coming in 70 AD. And then you have Jude taking over after 70 AD. I just find it really interesting, especially with James, that no one in the church questioned James' leadership. And I just wonder, when Jesus spoke to his disciples about the things of the kingdom of God, maybe he communicated to them that he already had a plan where his brother and brothers were going to be the leaders of the church on earth. I mean, these are things we cannot answer from the Bible, but that's just some of my thoughts or questions. But if you also have any regarding this Jesus dynasty, let me know. And until next time, contend earnestly for the faith, which was once for all delivered to the saints, and God bless.